If it wasn't for the pandemic, LinkedIn probably would have died. It would have gone the same way as all those derelict old platforms such as MySpace and Bebo and Twitter. Before the pandemic, what we did was we went to work, we saw people, we networked with people, we talked, we would tell them what we did last night or what we ate or the fact that we watched the football and the fact that how much we love Gareth Southgate and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we did. But then the pandemic happened, which means we all had to go home and sit around and just scroll our phones and not really talk to anyone. So what did we do? We all headed over to LinkedIn. In the last 4 years, since the pandemic, LinkedIn has added almost as many members in the last 4 years as it did in the 18 years before that. LinkedIn is now the place where people have conversations. It's become the digital water cooler, particularly in the pandemic, because obviously you've got Facebook, you can go and talk to your friends and your family and all that kind of stuff, but we still wanted those conversations with our associates, our colleagues, our business partners, and etc. We found them on LinkedIn, we connected with them on LinkedIn, that's where we had conversations. And that's what LinkedIn has become now. It's a place where we have conversations over and above what it used to be where we just post CVs or try and look for a job and all that kind of rubbish. So LinkedIn is the new Facebook. It is the place where we have conversations. It's the place where we meet people, get to know people, and get to like people. Of course, not everybody's a fan. We always get comments like, this isn't Facebook, when I write content about something that's not like, I've changed jobs or something like that. Somebody somewhere will always say, this isn't Facebook. Now, what I normally do is I find that person on Facebook and I send them a friend request and then I go through their content. And as soon as I see something even remotely work related, I write underneath, this isn't LinkedIn. For the purposes of the video, and obviously being positively lovely, I don't do that. That was a joke, obviously. And I don't recommend that. Don't fight fire with fire, obviously. But these people are now in the minority, particularly over the last couple of years. More and more people are treating LinkedIn like Facebook. So, today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn strategy and the 3 C's of LinkedIn strategy. The 3 C's. See what I did there? I've already got 20 minutes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I've already got 20 minutes. Keep up. Yeah. So the 3 C's. We're going to be talking about community, content, and conversation. The 3 pillars of LinkedIn success. So let's start with community. I love this quote. I put my name on it. It's my quote. Take screenshots. Tell people if you see anybody write this kind of stuff. It's my quote. LinkedIn is the only place where you can curate your own audience. Now, everywhere else, Facebook, Twitter, not so much Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, etc., you rely on people to find you. You rely on telling people, I'm on this platform, you should come and find me. On LinkedIn, you find them. You curate your perfect audience. So, you're all marketers. Hopefully you know your niche, you know your ideal clients and all that kind of stuff. Just go and use the search box. It's all free on LinkedIn. You just use the search box, find exactly who you're looking for, whether it's university chancellors in Uxbridge or pharmacists in Farnborough, or goat herders in Grimsby. Whatever it is, they're all on LinkedIn. There are 364 goat herders on LinkedIn. That's not the takeaway from today. Don't make notes on that. But don't ask me how I know that. But LinkedIn is the only place where you can curate the perfect audience. Does anybody know what Boolean search is? A couple of people? Excellent. I'm not going to bang on about this, but if you go to Google and just type in LinkedIn Booleans, it essentially helps you to hone that search. It refines that search to find exactly who you're looking for, as opposed to business owners in Birmingham. That's far too generic. A Boolean search will help you. It's all about adding keywords and inverted commas and ands and ors and all this other kind of stuff. But it's the perfect way to curate the perfect audience for you. Now, we're at the center of our community. Whoever we are at the center of our community, but everybody else is at the center of theirs. And the whole point of LinkedIn is that we become part of different communities and we find other people that bring people to us. When we network on LinkedIn, we find other people. They come to us and ultimately they see our content. The main aim of LinkedIn is to get people to know us, like us, and trust us. And as we all know, once people trust you, they hand over their cash, right? That's kind of how it works. The main thing is we're on LinkedIn to find our friends, to find communities, and ultimately to help grow our businesses. I don't know who, I haven't put in, this is not my name, this is not my quote, but I want to find people who look after my name when I'm not in the room. One of the best things about LinkedIn is that we can find brand ambassadors. We find people that talk about us. We find people that like us. Obviously, everybody that comes to the marketing meetup, we're all positively lovely. We're all happy. We're all here. We're all talking to each other. And when we meet people, when somebody says, oh, I need this or I need that, I need the UK's #1 LinkedIn trainer, oh, you should speak to Gus, etc. But it's all about finding those people that talk about you. Now, for those of you who know John Evans, he's the Uncensored CMO, he's got a podcast. He talked about trust transfer in one of his podcasts. When somebody trusts you, if they trust you enough, when they talk to somebody else they trust, they will recommend you. And that's the best thing about LinkedIn in terms of recommending people to other people. Now, I just want to quickly talk about the relevancy score. One important thing about the relevancy score is that it's all about scoring points with people. For example, it's all very well using the search box and finding those people that obviously we want to engage with and curating the perfect audience. But don't forget those people that engage with our content, or indeed those people that follow us but haven't connected to us. People that view our profile, they're definitely warm leads. If somebody's viewed your profile but they haven't bothered connecting, go and connect to them. The very worst thing that could happen is they say, no thanks. And that's okay, because there's another billion people on there. Your existing network, lots of LinkedIn trainers will say, you have a massive network, go and find loads of people. Don't forget the people already connected to you. They're connected to you for a reason. They want to know who you are. They want to read your content. They want to get to know you. They want to be a part of your community. And for those of you who have company pages, particularly if you run a business, sometimes people follow your company page, but they don't bother connecting with you. So it's always worth reaching out and connecting them. The relevancy score is essentially scoring points with other people. If you view somebody's profile, you get a point. If you send them a connection request, you get another point. If you add a note to your connection request, you get another point. If you comment on their content, you get another point. If you send them a DM, you get another point, etc., etc. The more points you have with somebody, the algorithm recognizes that they are relevant to you. So the next time you post, it's more likely that your content is going to feature in their feed. Okay, so it's about raising the relevancy score with the perfect audience. So if you know who your ideal clients are and you use the search box to go and find those people, the more you engage with them, the more likely it is that when you post content, they're going to see that content because it's pertinent to them. You have created a positive echo chamber of exactly the kind of people that you should be speaking to. Which leads me on to content. There are 1.1 billion people on LinkedIn, and less than 5% of them are creating content consistently. And as far as LinkedIn is concerned, consistently means one post a week. So just by posting one post a week, you're in the top 5% of content creators on LinkedIn, which is a ridiculous figure. It's a hangover of the pandemic. Most people are just scrolling their phones. They just look, they scroll. It's, you know, it's kind of like the TikTok habit. They'll just keep scrolling. They won't like, they won't comment and all that kind of stuff. But what you want to do is create content that makes other people stop. You want them to stop. And quite frankly, if you're not creating content, somebody else is. So if they're not reading your content, they're finding somebody else. They're getting to know, like, and trust somebody else, and they're handing over their cash to somebody that's not you. So I have something called the Gus Bhandal, Daniel Craig content marketing strategy. I should find a better phrase for that, to be honest. It's the only time you're ever going to hear Gus Bhandal and Daniel Craig in the same sentence. Unless you talk to my wife, obviously, because then, you know, she always mentions us in the same sentence. Mainly, I hate Gus, I wish I was married to Daniel Craig. That's kind of, that's what she says. But my content marketing strategy it's an arbitrary figure of 70-30. 70% of my content is Daniel Craig dancing in a vodka advert. If you haven't seen this, it's a Belvedere advert, other vodkas are available. Go check it out on YouTube. But 70% of my content is the jovial stuff, the stuff that is not work. 30% of my content is me on an assignment, getting ready for work, selling what I do. If your content was 100% one way or the other, if you only ever talked about work, you'd be a dull boy. People would eventually switch off. They'll be like, oh, I know what this guy does. I don't want to see this guy's content. The relevancy score drops. You fall out of people's feeds, essentially. But if you only posted jovial content, nobody would know what you do. So it's always good to have a mix. It's always worth telling people. This is where you tell people, I'm the authority. I know what I'm doing. This is what I do for a living. But actually, what makes me tick is this stuff. Oh, I go networking. I went to the marketing meetup. I had some pizza. I had some beer. I met these people. I did this. I got a testimonial. I got a new qualification, whatever it is. That's the jovial stuff. That's what we talk about. And then 30% is don't forget to sell. We have to sell. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. Ignore this bit. I mean, obviously, you don't need me to tell you about those text and photos and videos, obviously. But I want to talk about the mediums of what we can post on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the godfather of social media simply because we can post everything on there. You can do text posts, you can add images, you can add articles, newsletters, audio rooms, document posts. For those of you that use Instagram, document posts are carousels, but we can't call them carousels obviously because it's not professional. We have to call them document posts. It's exactly the same thing. You can go live, you can do pre-recorded videos. 2 tips here. If you haven't already, you should do document posts, which essentially you upload PDFs and people scroll through, because there's an algorithmic feature called the dwell time. Document posts work really well because when you post document posts and people scroll through them, it tells the algorithm that people are hanging around on this content and scrolling through. So when people scroll through, the algorithm thinks, oh, people are liking this content and they're reading through it, so we'll show it to more people. So document posts work really well. And recently, they also said you should post portrait style videos. If you post videos on, for example, Instagram Reels or TikTok and all that kind of stuff, go stick them on LinkedIn as well. Don't worry about the watermarks and all that kind of stuff. Post them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn wants you to post that. They've got a new TikTok style feed. When you open the video, you can scroll and it will show you loads more videos. So they're the 2 things that they're really pushing. They really help the algorithm. So if you haven't already, document posts and portrait style videos. A question I often get asked is, oh, I don't know what content to post, or I don't know what to post about, etc. Has anybody heard of answerthepublic.com? A few people? Yeah. Now, I love this site. It's great. You just go in there, you type, like this example here is somebody has typed in marketing and is where marketing can be applied, marketing for small businesses, etc. It's really good to essentially create content, or define questions to content that you should be creating on social media. Particularly on LinkedIn. So I would go on there and I would type in LinkedIn training or LinkedIn work or whatever it may be, and it will give me 100 questions of what I could ask and what I could answer on social media. This is real time. This is what people are asking for online. So if you haven't already, go check out answerthepublic.com. In essence, just by putting in one phrase, it should give you enough content for the next 3 years of LinkedIn posts, interspersed with the whole Daniel Craig stuff. Remember that. Okay. Conversation. The third pillar of the perfect LinkedIn success strategy is conversation. Building a community is one thing. Obviously, community is very different to connections. It's about building a community, people that like us, know us, like us, and trust us. Then obviously we want to create content that they want to read, but that's just broadcasting. What we want to do is have conversations with people. Ultimately, as I said before, we're at the center of our community and everybody else is at the center of their community. LinkedIn does what Facebook used to do 10 years ago in terms of when you post something, it shows it to lots of people. Obviously, Facebook doesn't do this anymore, but LinkedIn still does. It will still say Gus has commented on James's content, etc. And if you're following each other, you can see all that content, etc. It still spreads it to a much wider audience. LinkedIn is the world's biggest and largest networking event. It's the place where people go to obviously make connections, meet other people, meet their fellow businesses. It's great to do this online. I always recommend journaling your week. Now, I don't know if I should put this in the content or the conversation, but actually I put it in the conversation because this is what starts conversation. When you're creating content, particularly the 70% Daniel Craig dancing in a vodka advert content, you should be journaling your week. Tell people what you're up to. Oh, Monday I met a new client, Tuesday I got a testimonial, Wednesday I bought pizza for everybody in the office, etc. What it does is it resonates with people, which then gets them to have conversations with you, which then ultimately pushes your content out to more people. Just some content examples. So we have Peter Coleman here, who's basically talked about the a few events that he's been to, which is great. Obviously, it's not necessarily work related, but I've been to some events. Then obviously we have Ian Covey. For those of you who are regulars at the marketing meetup, he normally is welcoming people. He's trying to raise £50,000 by the time he's 50, and now he's talking about that on LinkedIn. We have Sophie Blackmore here, who posts incredibly energetic TikTok videos on LinkedIn, and they do incredibly well, don't they? Right? It's a great dancing video. It gives energy. It's not, but you're right. It's not a great screenshot. However, the post before this that you wrote was all about one night stands. So, wasn't it? Yeah. So you're lucky. Now, speaking of which, then we have people like the Mark Ritson of the Midlands, Mark Smith, talking all about penetration. Mental penetration is a marketing term. And then, of course, we have Dave Harlan. For those of you who know Dave Harlan, one of the world's best copywriters, friend of the marketing meetup. He writes stuff like this. Now, one thing that all these people have in common is the fourth bonus C, which is confidence. A question I'm often asked is, I don't have the confidence to post. I don't have the confidence to talk about me or talk about the stuff around me. I always say you should be intentionally yourself. Now I know it's a very trite marketing phrase when people say you should always be yourself, you know, everyone else is taken, all that crap. But this word in the middle, intentionally, it's about being intentionally yourself. If you are bothering to create a community, if you are bothering to search for people, if you have anything more than one follower or one connection on LinkedIn, people want to hear from you. You should be creating content that converses with those people. Now, of course, we have the advent of AI. I'm not here to talk about AI, don't worry. But LinkedIn is crying out for human-led stories, human-led conversations. This is why it has over now 1.1 billion people. That's why it's in the top tier of social media platforms. This is why LinkedIn is one of the best social media platforms. It's the godfather of social media, in my opinion. So it's all about human-led stories, about being intentionally yourself. This is a summary. Now, I couldn't put summary here because it would ruin the alliteration. So I searched for synonyms, compendiums, and so on. It's just another word, you know. But generally, pretend that says summary. So, build a community. It's very important building a. It's all very well having lots of connections. Building a community is really important. Create content that community wants to read. Now, you don't want to broadcast. You want to nurture that community by creating content and having conversations with that community. And then obviously make sure you have the confidence to be unique, to share your uniqueness, tell everybody about who you are. There are 1.1 billion people on LinkedIn and no two feeds are the same. So it's very much about telling people who you are, what you do, etc. And obviously, you know, what you enjoyed, what you're grateful for, etc. Don't say I'm grateful for the end of Gus's presentation. That's not what we want, all right? Just very quickly, linkedin.com/sales/SSI. How do we know that LinkedIn is working? Head over to this link. Essentially, it tells you, where you rank. Take it with a slight pinch of salt, because once I started paying for Sales Navigator, mysteriously some of these numbers went up, just magically. But generally, this tells you where you rank in your industry, so in the work that you do, so marketing, social media, etc., and then where you rank in your network, so the people that you're connected to. It's always worth checking that out on a regular basis. If you're fairly new to LinkedIn or you don't create much content, go and check out your SSI score now and then write a diary note in 3 months' time, check it out again. If you do everything that we've talked about today, I guarantee that number will have risen. So your homework is write about tonight, okay? Go and tell the world tomorrow on LinkedIn, I went to the marketing meetup. Share a screenshot from today, a photo, screenshot, whatever, tag me, Gus Bhandal, or definitely tag the marketing meetup, and feel free to use the hashtag LinkedIn penetration. Thanks, Mark, for that. And obviously, if you haven't taken any photos yet, or you haven't taken any screenshots, feel free to use this one. Thank you very much.